Assalamu alaikum. My name is Omar Abdullah. I'm an attorney at Rose Law Group, and today I will be introducing the Al Rahma Cemetery Project to you. This is not intended to be a fully comprehensive presentation on the project, but more of just an overview. I'm going to try and keep it at around 10 minutes, and we'll go through these slides. So, as you know, the Rahma Cemetery is just west or just southwest of the ICC in Tempe. It's off Highway 238, and it's just west of the city of Maricopa. So before I get into the detail of why it is that we're bringing this to you, I think it's helpful to give a brief history of the cemetery um, and the parcels surrounding it. And so the existing cemetery that you all know is parcel 1 here. You can see where the grave sites are, and it has access along Rahma Street. And so this parcel was purchased around 30 years ago. And then we also have parcels 2 and 3. Parcel 2 being purchased more recently in 2011, and then 3 also recently in 2014. Now, parcel 1, when it was purchased 30 years ago, it was also rezoned. And what that means is that the zoning district, which describes what kind of uses are permitted for the piece of property, was rezoned to SR to allow the cemetery use. Now, the adjoining parcels 2 and 3 have a different zoning district, GR, and we'll get into why that's important shortly. So we've had some recent challenges with the existing cemetery, but we also have some opportunities ahead of us. Um, Parcel 1, which is already being used for a cemetery, at the time of its rezoning 30 years ago, had a stipulation along with the zoning case. And what that means is it had a follow-up requirement to go through the site planning process. And that unfortunately was not completed. It showed up in a recent review with the county, and so they're asking us to resolve that. Now, the adjoining parcels 2 and 3, the only issue with those is the zoning does not currently allow cemetery use. Now, how can we resolve the site planning issue that recently came to light for parcel 1? Well, we can do that by going through the site planning process. Now, since we have these adjoining parcels 2 and 3, which don't allow for cemetery use, um, we are proposing to rezone all of the properties together. And the reason it makes sense to do that is because the rezoning process in itself includes the site planning process that'll resolve the issue that we have today with parcel 1. And so in making that fix, essentially what we're doing is we will also be bringing parcels 2 and 3 into the correct zoning, so that in the future, when the time comes and those properties are needed to be used for the cemetery use, they're essentially ready to go, because it is kind of a lengthy process. And so the steps that we need to now proceed with for the rezoning is to do a pre-application, which we already did, host a neighborhood meeting for property owners within the area, submit a formal application, have Pinal County staff review that application, probably will give us comments and ask us to do subsequent submissions, attend a planning commission hearing where they'll hear our case, our zoning case, and then ultimately a board of supervisors hearing where they will hear our case and vote on it. And so in doing the rezoning and the site planning, there's a lot of applications and research and engineering involved. And so we've put together a team of individuals from ICC, from the board, some engineers, myself. It's going to be a large, not a large team, but there are a lot of people on the team, a lot of whom are not listed here. But inshallah, we have a good team put together to go through this process. And this is just a site plan that we've put together. It'll give you a rough idea of the 3 parcels put together for this future larger cemetery sites. Now, I mentioned the rezoning process, and so here are the steps again. And so we've broken down this project into three phases. Phase one is more of the immediate need, and the immediate need is to resolve that site planning issue that I mentioned. Um, but in doing phase one, we are applying for the rezoning, and we're also setting the stage for the future use of parcels 2 and 3 as a cemetery. But like I said, phase one is what we need to get through now. It'll resolve that issue, and that's going through the rezoning process. And then along with the rezoning process, they are ultimately we're ultimately going to have to make some site improvements that'll include some construction to the site. It's already built out, so it won't need too much, but possibly some off-site improvements along Rahma Street here. So that could include some paving, drainage work, exterior landscaping. All of that will come with the zoning case, and we'll have more information on that later on. And then phases 2 and phases 3 will be the construction on parcel 2 and parcel 3. And we don't really need to begin that construction until however many years from now this parcel 1 is full and we need to move into parcels 2 and 3. So phase 1 really is just correcting the site issue and setting up the stage for all parcels 1, 2, and 3 becoming this expanded cemetery property, but not actually constructing or doing any of the constructions for 2 and 3. The construction for 2 and 3 would come in phases 2 and 3. And so, of course, there are pretty substantial anticipated costs for doing all of this. It's not just the construction. There's a lot of application and engineering and just like putting together studies and reports and things of that nature before we can actually do the development side of things. You can see here that we have a legal fee estimate of $20,000 to $60,000. It's kind of a wide range, I know. It includes putting together the zoning application, putting together the narrative, which is a kind of like it's telling the story of the project, organizing and hosting the neighborhood meetings, meeting with county staff, the Planning and Zoning Commission, the Board of Supervisors, and then attending the hearings for each of those. And the reason we have the range is because at this stage in the process, it's difficult to anticipate the complexity of it. We could have neighbor opposition. We could have some unexpected issues with the county. And so all of that would extend the process. And if it's extended, the costs will go up. And so that's why we have that range. And then we have the applications, the studies, the reports. These are more of the engineering items and the paperwork. The zoning application alone, just to submit that, is about $6,000. And then the application is going to require a drainage study from some engineers, a landscape plan, likely from an architect, master circulation plan, traffic impact analysis from a traffic engineer, some surveys, and some site planning documents. So there's a whole host of things there. We expect that to be around $50,000. We'll also need a water truck. I believe the board is working on that. We're going to have to describe how we get water to the site, and so that would be how. And then the paving and access improvements or any other improvements that are more construction like improvements, those would come after having zoning approval. We expect that to include a paving of Rahma Street and other offsite improvements. Before you can do the paving, there's probably going to be some grading and drainage that needs to be done. Also installing a deceleration lane off the highway so that we can access Rahma Street. That's going to be a requirement from ADOT. So there is quite a bit of things that are going to be needed in this process, but all of them together will make it so that phase 1, the parcel 1 property, is brought into compliance, so that we don't have issues with the county, and then also for the future need of phases 2 and phase 3. But as I mentioned, these are the phase 1 costs. This is sort of the immediate need items that will be needed in the upcoming year. And so, inshallah, we hope to raise a lot of it at this point, and so we can get started on this process. And so I'll be around. If anyone wants to discuss this further or ask me questions, you're welcome to reach out to me. Again, my name is Amar Abdullah, and I'll be here for questions. Thanks.